So let's get into the trial, man. Let's get right into let's get right into the coverage of the trial, right? So, and I got a lot of clips this week, y'all. We got a lot of clips this week, a lot of minutes worth of clips. You know, I did all the work this morning, so we ain't even got to worry about it. It's clips on clips. And we need these clips because we need to see what was going on in this courtroom. We need visual aid today. Now, Monday morning comes back. We all saw it. Love was like, hey, Judge, I got this cool idea. I'm going to just put Gaither on the stand because we need Gaither to clear some things up with this interview. We read the transcripts with Quindarius Zachary, but we want to actually show clips from the video. We didn't want to keep Quindarius Zachary too long because he's sick, Judge. So let us just go ahead and go straight into Gaither, and then we'll get to this interview, and then Gaither could be done. Whitaker said, Whitaker pretty much said, no, stop. Call Mike Sprinkle. Tell him to get back down here right now, right? Love was like, I'll have to call him to see if he's available. She's like, no, tell him stop whatever he's doing and come down here right now. Tell him I said he need to stop what he's doing and come down here and finish his testimony. So that kind of threw Ms. Love off a little bit. She clearly wanted to confuse the jury again. And this is what they did. Remember when Trontavia Stevens testified, and Glanville allowed it, when Trontavia Stevens testified, and then they brought Belknap right back immediately afterwards to pretty much tell everybody, hey, everything Trontavia Stevens just said was a lie. I'm the expert witness, so I can tell you the truth. Of course, that's when we got the great analogy from Max Schardt where he said, they're about to use these expert witnesses and police testimony and gang experts as like a chorus to a song. They're going to have the expert witness come testify, say one thing about this gang. Then one of these co-conspirators are going to come testify. Then they're going to bring the gang expert right back to tell you the same thing again and tell you that these people are lying. So the jury is only going to remember one thing, the chorus to the song, which is the quote unquote expert witness. They've done this before. They tried to do it again with Gaither. Whitaker said, stop it, quit playing with me, get Sprinkle back in there. So they bring Sprinkle back, right? What's going on, Jazzy? What's that say? Jazziest knee? Oh, you're going to have to can you give me like a breakdown of how you pronounce your name? But I appreciate that love, though. We definitely got a lot to talk about, Nelson. Okay, so Whitaker said, get Sprinkle, stop playing. So then Sprinkle gets back down there finally, right? Yeah, Schardt was on point with that, and he was completely correct. What's going on, Juice? So Sprinkle had to get back down there. So then they start talking about Javaris Bradford, and they like, oh, this is the 2002 Gray Bonneville, right? So I'm like, okay. So now this Gray Bonneville that the eyewitnesses on the scene said that they saw, because remember, I think it was Reggie, when Reggie got on the stand, he said the Gray Bonneville stopped in front of the barbershop for what felt like 20 seconds and was shooting it out with Nut. Oh, Jazzy SNE. Oh, okay. So he said the Bonneville stopped in front of the barbershop and pretty much had a shootout with them, right? And we know that people on Nut's side had a gun because we seen his brother walk in the barbershop with the chopstick, right? So the Gray Bonneville, people saw the Gray Bonneville. Now, my whole thing is this. The Bonneville did not have a sunroof, right? However, the eyewitnesses said, we saw a Gray Bonneville old model do this thing. The camera at the gas station saw that there was an Infiniti close by with a sunroof. So when I saw when we watched the little barbershop video or whatever, y'all have to remind me. I'm trying to remember back, and I played the video a bunch of times and all that. I don't remember physically seeing a person lift up out of the sunroof and shoot at them. I don't remember seeing that. Did y'all see that? I don't remember. I can't remember that much detail of the video. It was pretty dark, but I definitely don't remember seeing a person come out the top. I didn't see flashes from a gun muzzle out the top of the joint. I didn't see that. So, and the thing about it is the streetwalker, Mr. Sammy Davis, he said he saw a Gray Bonneville, and he said he saw Woody sitting in the front passenger seat. You see what I'm saying? So, right. Y'all didn't see the sunroof either, right? I didn't either. So I'm trying to figure out, the only place that we got this whole somebody popped out the sunroof thing, that came from, I'm going to only say this, I don't want to disrespect this man, but I got to say it so I could be fluent. That came from the crackhead. The crackhead said somebody popped out the top of the car and started shooting at them, right? But I don't think nobody else see it. Now, you know what could have happened, right? Somebody could have been on the driver's side, back seat, and they climbed out the window on their side and was over top of the car shooting. That's more than likely what happened, right? So this whole thing is just real, very, very, very hazy, right? These people was very sure that they saw old Bonneville. I'm not going to ever discount that. I know the state wants us to believe no, even though these eyewitnesses, even one of them were the victim. I know they said that they saw a gray Bonneville, but it was not a gray Bonneville. It was an Infinity. And the reason they're so stuck on that Infinity is because somebody said that they popped out a sunroof. I don't think they popped out a sunroof. I think they climbed out the back window and was over top of the car, and somebody thought they was out of the sunroof. And I can see why you think that, because if you outside drinking, smoking, whatever, soon as you hear bullets, you probably saw a person, but you went and scattered and ran and couldn't really see what was going on. So it's very, very, very likely that it wasn't a sunroof. Somebody was definitely hanging out the sunroof on the video. Okay, so Ked, you saw somebody hanging out the sunroof. Okay. You saw that too. Okay, I gotta go watch it again. I got the video on my hard drive somewhere. I didn't see it. And I'm thinking, if these people saw the gray Bonneville, I think there was somebody hanging out the back window over top of the car shooting down. That's what I think. All right, so let's move past that, right? But now we know whose car that was. And this supposedly is somebody who's affiliated with these guys. His name is Javars Bradford, right? Now, with that whole Pontiac not having a sunroof, though, that kind of helps the state's theory around this Infinity, right? So the defense, okay, Miss Sylvia says she didn't see it either. Ked is saying it was definitely a Q50. So we're going to figure it out. I'm going to have to go back and see it too, Jazzy. So Love is asking a whole lot of cumulative questions, asking a whole bunch of questions about very insignificant details, what I feel. And the defense is objecting to a lot of it. The judge is sustaining pretty much everything. On Monday morning, the judge was sustaining everything against Love. Like, she was not letting her cook at all. And it's probably because she was asking a bunch of BS. Same thing she was doing with Quindarius Zachary, who's on the stand. Okay. So we could go through that. Adams is first up on cross. He asked Sprinkle about now this is where I think things got in. Monday was an extremely interesting day, right? There was only 3 days of trial this week. Monday was very interesting. This is Adams is cooking, right? Adams is chefing it up. And you know, when Adams is on cross, we're gonna get magic, because Adams is probably the best gaslighter in this entire trial, right? Nobody is better at gaslighting than Keith Adams, attorney Keith Adams, right? So Adams is up there cooking, and Max Schardt actually objects to some things that Adams is asking. The main thing that he objected to, the first thing he objected to, right? When Adams was asking about, he pretty much said, y'all arrested the wrong people, right? Y'all used some statements that you got from, you used some statements that you got from this man named Spencer Wright, who said he was at the scene, but then y'all went and found the video and y'all saw that he wasn't there at all, but y'all still, Thorpe charged the wrong people, even though he never seen Spencer Wright at the scene of the crime, right? Schardt objected to that, right? I think now we're going to go to the video, but I think the reason Schardt objected is because he knows the charges, as Sprinkle said this a little bit later, the charges were dropped against everybody else involved. The charges were dropped against Moontoon. The charges were dropped against one more person, and the charges were dropped against Woody. But Sprinkle said the charges were not dropped against Shannon Stillwell. So it seems like they all felt like Stillwell was definitely involved. Now, if they dropped the charges against everybody else, I'm not sure why they were so hardcore on Shannon Stillwell being involved. It's like they don't care what 4 people were involved. In their mind, Shannon was definitely one of them. And that's kind of crazy, right? Because they just dropping the charge. They even dropped the charge against Woody when Woody is the one with the motive. Now, we're going to get into Woody and his location data and all that type of stuff, right? And people keep on commenting, and I'm going to get to it in a little bit. For now, let's get to this video. And I want to play I'm going to play Adams on cross and Schardt objected.
You know that there were interviews of Kenneth Copeland where Thorpe, Gaither, and Dennis were all present.
Yes.
Right? And in fact, what was it, 9-10 hours worth of interviews of Kenneth Copeland?
There was one interview that was over 9 hours long. So, there were multiple interviews with him. So it was over 9 hours. It suffices to say.
Right. So getting back to my, the question I asked a little while ago, you certainly had information that these three detectives, Thorpe may have been the one who took out the warrant, right?
Yes.
But these three detectives were in contact, in communication with each other in regards to Donovan Thomas's murder. You knew that.
Yes.
Right. And ultimately, what happened is that they arrested the wrong people, didn't they?
As to vagueness and the word they. Sustained.
Okay. Ultimately, the Detective Thorpe with the Atlanta Police Department, after consulting or talking to Gaither and Dennis, took out for these four individuals, charged the wrong people with the murder of Donovan Thomas, correct?
To that question, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Thorpe spoke to Spencer Wright on the 19th of October, right?
Yes.
Now, when you came into the case, one of the first things that you thought to do was to really examine the statement from Mr. Wright. Is that true?
Yes.
And you did so?
I did.
And you spoke to him?
I did.
Okay, so y'all heard Schardt objected, right? Adams was in it. So he like, okay. He didn't really say much back. He didn't argue, but he just kept it moving. Okay, he objected. So now Adams is pretty much just establishing that Thorpe didn't really do his job.
The second or third things that you did, right, just using some common sense, was to go and look for video around the location where you thought Spencer Wright would have been, right?
That's right.
And you did that.
I did.
And you were able to find it.
I was.
And it was pretty easy.
It was.
Detective Thorpe, before arresting folks based on your words, almost entirely the statement of Spencer Wright, never took the time to even go look for video where Spencer Wright supposedly would have been. Did he?
Well, that I don't know. You would have to ask Detective Thorpe that.
Well, did you? Did you ask Detective Thorpe that?
Oh. I'm sure I did.
Let me guess. The answer was that he had not done it, right?
I remember the answer he gave at the preliminary hearing about the video.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When you come into the case in 2016, was there any video that had been procured from that location? By Detective Thorpe? The bus stop, where Spencer Wright would have been?
Yes.
Was there?
There was a video camera, and in the viewable area of that camera was the bus stop where Mr. Wright said that he was standing at the time of the homicide.
Right. Had anyone gotten that video?
Yes.
Who did?
It was the specific investigator was probably either Frederick Page or Jason Teague, but ultimately it wound up in the possession of Detective Thorpe.
Okay. Before these four individuals were arrested or after?
Before.
Okay. And so even having the videotape that you looked at and that you made a determination was pivotal in the arrest or in the case, even having that information, Detective Thorpe still went ahead and swore out the warrant for the wrong people on October the 20th?
That's right. I don't. All I know is I didn't think I had probable cause. I never got probable cause.
Okay, I just wanted that part to play because I wanted it to show how Keith Adams was really cooking the state for real. Because y'all know that when it comes to these criminal trials, the state prosecution and the police are looked at as one team, right? Because they're supposed to do their investigations together before they prosecute anybody. So that's why he is allowed to come at him about what Thorpe did with videos and charging people and all that. They're looked at as one. So he chefed them up right there. But at this point right here that I'm about to start playing is Keith Adams is going to start asking questions and Max Schardt is going to ask the judge to approach. So that's essentially another objection, right? He wanted to stop Adams from asking questions. And we'll talk about why I think at the end, but pretty much he's talking about how Sprinkle subpoenaed got these records, these phone records, but he just happened to not get the location data from Lil D's phone, even though he was, this is Demikian Garlington. He didn't get the location data for his phone, but he went and got the location data for everybody else that's involved, just not him. So let's listen to Adams. Adams was cold with them, telling he's the best gaslighter in the business. There you go.
Get the tower records.
Let's work backwards a little bit, right? Let's start with this. When you sent out the request for the records that you thought was a number to Demikian Garlington,
Yes.
you requested those records specifically without tower usage logs, right?
I did.
Okay. Now, you had previously requested records for Kenneth, what you thought was Kenneth Copeland's phone number, with the tower usage logs, right?
I don't know that it was me that did that. It may have been investigator or Detective Dennis that did that.
Right. But one thing that you knew, I mean, you honed in on the fact that there was supposedly this call between Kenneth Copeland and Demikian Garlington, and they were supposed to be at a specific place on the night of January 10th, 2015. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Right. And so you had listened to Kenneth Copeland's statements, and you knew from Copeland's statements that he made reference to a Garlington, who was an important witness to you, right?
It was.
Right. You knew that Copeland had made reference in his hours of statements about this conversation and the location of Garlington, who was an important witness. You knew that.
That's right.
Right? And so you still didn't think that that was enough for you to go ahead and try to verify whether Kenneth Copeland was lying through his teeth or not by getting Garlington's tower usage logs.
I will say one other thing.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
May we approach now? All right, so Max Schardt said, enough is enough. I got to stop this. We'll get into that. But watch how, first of all, Love and Hilton love what's happening. They love what's happening right now because Adams does not know really what they're on. Adams is up there worried about Young Thug and Young Thug only, right? This is what we all have to understand. Adams is not like, Adams and Steele are not overall lawyers for everybody on the case. They are worried about Thug and that's it. Right? They don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but they need to get Thug out of the line of fire, right? Love and Hilton know what's happening. Keith Adams is not realizing what's happening. So if you look at the top part of my video, you'll see Love and Hilton leaning in, talking to each other. You can see that there's some joy in the lean in, right? If you look at the bottom part, you'll see that that Max Schardt, he wanted to approach the judge because he really wanted to say something in Keith Adams' ear to let him know something. I don't think he really wanted to talk to the judge. I think he wanted to pull Keith Adams to the side and tell him something in his ear. Watch this. You see that? He got his arm around Adams and he's talking to him. He was talking to him before the video was showing it, but he's talking to him in his ear. Look at the bottom video. He's telling Adams why not to broach the subject of whatever he's talking about. Right? So I think that's very important. Now, the reason that I think Schardt had to stop what was happening. Schardt had to stop what was happening because the closer you get to Demikian Garlington and Woody, the closer you get to Shannon Stillwell. These three people, I don't know if y'all remember early in the trial, those three people were like inseparable at that time. You got to remember, Woody and Shannon and Lil D, they came into the YSL fold at the same time as like the Gunners from Mechanicsville. You know what I'm saying? They were, I don't know. I'm not like telling on them. I don't know personal information on them. I'm saying the reputation. They the shooters from the West Side, right? They the dudes that's TTG from Mechanicsville, and they got brought into the YSL fold. Excuse me. They got brought into the YSL fold. Those three was inseparable. They was turned up, right? So the closer and the closer and the closer that you get to implicating Woody, the closer that you get to implicating Lil D from Mechanicsville, Shannon it's almost like you might as well say Shannon did whatever it was too. So Schardt had to stop that. Let's pull back on that part right there. You understand? So for anybody who wasn't like understanding that, that's why, because Lil D and Shannon was inseparable. At the beginning of the trial, yeah, allegedly is what because I don't know anything personal about them. I'm saying the reputation that people had around them was that this was what they was doing, right? This is what the state thinks about them anyway, right? So Schardt is like, we got to pause this. We got to stop this. And, let's stop what's going on here. So I did see a lot of confusion around that piece, right? So